On that note, we'll go to Paul, who's been on hold the longest, evidently from Louisiana. Paul, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, you're on with Matt and Don. What do you got for us?
Hey, yeah. So first of all, I live in Los Angeles.
Oh, it says L.A. and I thought Louisiana.
La La Land. Okay.
Okay, that completely changes my and this is non-trivial. It completely changes my perception of you, because if I have a perception of people from L.A. and I have a perception of people from Louisiana that are admittedly stereotypical. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm actually kind of curious. What's that stereotype?
So liberal hippies come from L.A. and conservatives come from Louisiana. So, and I realize that that's not actually true, but it is a general.
No. Hey, you know what? I agree. It's totally true. But anyways, yeah. So I just wanted to talk about a famous argument. It's the impossibility of the contrary. Have you guys heard of that?
Well, the impossibility of the contrary is used in a number of different arguments, a lot of presuppositional arguments, a transcendental argument for the existence of God, basically trying to define God as something that is necessary and show that the situation that we have, that God is a necessary requirement of that, because it would be impossible to be in this situation where they're not a God.
Uh-huh. So, have you heard the argument used with the laws of logic?
Yeah. So Matt Slick called in many, many years ago, and we've debated several times since. That the laws of logic is one of the transcendental arguments for the existence of God.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the atheistic worldview cannot account for or justify laws of logic.
Yeah.
Because.
And neither can any other worldview that I have been presented with. What happens is the presuppositionalists, they make two claims. They claim that they can present a foundation for the laws of logic, and they claim that no other worldview can, and they never demonstrate either of those two premises. They assert both of them without any demonstration.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, from the presuppositionalist or the apologetics, you would hear some like, God, we all think in the way of God, and that's why we have laws of logic, and the atheistic can't account for laws of logic because of...
So, yeah. What you just said is something that I don't recognize as even being any part of a transcendental argument that exists in God, that we all think in the way of God. The arguments... For the transcendental arguments for the existence of God that appeal to the laws of logic have nothing to do with how we think. They are entirely about whether or not the identity, non-contradiction, excluded middle have a foundation that can be identified. It has nothing to do with how we think. So I don't know, what is this new argument that you've got about we all think like God?
Well, okay, so it's that we have the power of thinking logically, and that in an atheistic worldview, it is impossible to think logically, because...
How do you know that?
All that atheism is matter and motion.
No. So this is an awfully confused thing, because atheism doesn't tell you anything at all about what is or what actually exists. Atheism is the condition of not accepting the claim that some God exists. To say that atheism can't account for the laws of logic is equivalent to saying that atheism can't account for a peanut butter sandwich, or why cheetahs are so fast, or any of those. It's not what it's about. So when you say under an atheist, basically what you're arguing is on atheism, or if there is no God, then you cannot account for the foundations of reason. And I agree with that. But I also don't see how any other on theism or anything else actually accounts for the foundations of theism. Identity, non-contradiction, excluded middle, those things are things that we presuppose that seem to be absolute and true and universal. And you would have to assume that they were true in order to demonstrate that they were false. But the fact that you cannot provide a justification for why they are true, or some undergirding, is largely irrelevant to the issue of whether or not there's a God, until you can demonstrate, one, there is a God, two, that God is the foundation for the thing that we can't evidently provide a foundation for.
Okay. So you're saying that basically, because with atheism, I found that you cannot justify laws of logic, and because of you can't justify laws of logic, you're saying that therefore you can't prove God's existence because an atheist cannot prove or cannot justify laws of logic.
I apologize. I am not trying to be a dick, but that was a completely incoherent sentence.
Yeah, sorry. Can you say that one more time?
So,
can you repeat it one more?
So you and I perhaps would agree that identity, non-contradiction, excluded middle, the foundations of reason, are true, right?
Okay, say that one more time. I'm sorry. I can barely hear you guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. You and I would probably agree, and I'll let you verify, that what you're identifying as the laws of logic, identity, non-contradiction, excluded middle, we view them to be true and absolute and universal.
Okay.
Are you okay? Now we're both in this situation where we accept these laws of logic, and we can use them, and they continually demonstrate, so far as we can tell, that they are in fact true and absolute and universal. But we have no way of confirming that. Basically, we don't even know what could potentially falsify that, because you would have to assume that they were true in order to try to prove them false. So it seems to be something that you cannot confirm absolutely. And so I operate with them as a presupposition. What the people who are using one of the versions of the argument you're talking about, what they do is say, wow, the atheists don't have any explanation for why we can trust the laws of logic, but we do, because there's a God, and God is the guarantor, the insurance that guarantees that these laws of logic are true. And therefore, we have an explanation and they don't. The problem here is on several levels. First of all, where's the demonstration that God exists and is in fact the guarantor of these laws of logic? That never happens, which is why they try to say that they're arguing from the impossibility of the contrary. But that's not what they're actually doing. They're not saying that without a God, there can be no foundation. They'll claim that, but you can't demonstrate that because you have no way of assessing.
So, Paul, I have a question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you claiming at all that the laws of logic are somehow a revealed truth from God?
Yeah. So, did you put that in another way? So, so are you saying that God gave us the laws of logic, gave someone the laws of logic, and now we have it, kind of like the Ten Commandments?
I think he's asking you: Is God? Did he create the laws of logic and then somehow inform us about it? Or did he create them and we discovered them?
Like Prometheus or
something? Or did he not create them? Are they simply truths and somehow he's responsible? We're trying to figure out what argument there is to show that God is the foundation of logic.
Yeah, so that part I do not know. I don't know if there's anything where God actually revealed it, in the Bible, this is the laws of logic, follow the laws of logic. I'm just saying.
That's kind of where I was going with it. If you go I'm actually a PhD in computer science, and I'm pretty familiar with formal logic, and this is a sort of a model that humans have made over time. And if you go look at the history of it, it's incremental, and at no place along the way did God come down and say, hey, do this or do that. It's something that we sort of discovered. As far as we know, it's universal, and any other intelligent race might also come to the same conclusion, as far as we know. But we don't have any evidence for that. So I'm kind of looking for when did God come down and give us this thing, and what year was it, and these sorts of things.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that myself, I don't know if actually God has done that, but I'm saying that there has to be a form of something like that. See, like either God did or didn't do that, but there has to be.
There has to be what?
There has to be some sort of being like a God.
Why?
In order for there to...
Yeah, humans. We invented it.
Well, okay.
As far as I'm concerned.
No, because
we discovered it. How about
discovered?
That?
Yeah, okay. So
these things are essentially a discovered truth. The question is, you're saying that they can only exist and be true if there is a God.
In a way, yeah.
How do you know that?
Because humans couldn't have possibly made the concept of laws of logic.
Okay, so first of all, that's a fallacy. The failure of humans to serve as a foundation for the laws of logic does not in any way demonstrate that a God, any God, serves as a foundation.
Well, okay.
Why do you think they have a foundation in the first place? Why? Because it may be, my argument is that it may be a mistake to say, what is the foundation for this, when what we're talking about things that are simply true?
So just to get this straight, are you saying that my argument for that, because humans made the concept of laws of logic, like that has nothing to do with the existence of God, or has nothing to do with the argument?
We're saying that hasn't been demonstrated.
I'm not even sure that was your argument. I'm simply saying we both accept the laws of logic. You think that there has to be some foundation for them, that they can't simply be true. You think there has to be a foundation. I have seen no demonstration that there is a requirement for a foundation. But more than that, not only do you think there must be a foundation, but you think you've found the foundation. And I've seen no demonstration for that.
Well, I haven't seen a demonstration for why the atheist could account for laws of logic.
I've already acknowledged that we can't. And I've already acknowledged that I don't think that there's a necessity for an account for them.
So you're saying no need to justify laws of logic.
Correct. I'm saying that I don't see a need, but I'm moreover saying I don't see how it could be possible to offer a justification for it that is true.
To philosophically justify laws of logic. Well, I mean, if you're thinking like that, then there's real. I mean, do you believe in freedom? Like human freedom, like we have the freedom to do whatever we want?
It depends. Freedom is a label that we put on our ability and inability to act.
Mm-hmm. But I'm talking philosophically. Do you have the freedom to think logically or illogically?
Am I capable of thinking correctly and incorrectly? Yes.
You do.
I'm capable of this. I can demonstrate it. I've made mistakes and I've gotten things right.
Uh-huh. Now, is that you? Is that you with the freedom of doing it, or is that neurons or chemicals in your brain?
I don't care. It doesn't matter. It is still part of this package of me. And
so
this is now
sweeps under the rug.
Paul, no. Paul, atheism is not sweeping anything under the rug. You're the one sweeping something under the rug, because I've asked you repeatedly to provide the justification for why you think there needs to be an explanation and why you think your explanation is correct. And now we're talking about freedom, and you're accusing of atheism let me finish.
Well, freedom has something to do with it.
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Your argument is this accusation that atheism is sweeping something under the rug that it can't explain has nothing to do with atheism at all. This has to do with philosophy and the recognition that we do not currently have an explanation for X, whether it's whatever you do, and that there may not necessarily be an explanation for X, that it may be the case that this is just the way they are.
Okay, so do you want observable evidence, or do you want philosophical evidence or transcendental evidence?
Well, I would prefer observable evidence for a God, but if you'd present anything demonstrating why and how, you have the answer to something that philosophy seems to view as unanswered and unanswerable.
Mm-hmm.
Lay it on us.
Well, okay, so I'm not claiming that the God of the Bible is the God of the Catholic Church or the God of this or that. I'm claiming that there has to be a philosophical structure for laws of logic, freedom, and such and so on.
Okay,
we believe that's what God is.
Paul, let's assume for a second, and I don't think this is the case, but let's assume for a second that I agreed with you that there had to be a philosophical structure as a foundation, what justification do you have for saying that it must be a being?
Because you couldn't. Because without there to be a philosophical structure, you're basically just kind of have a carpet on a floor with no floor to hold up the carpet.
Yeah, sorry, that made absolutely no sense with respect to my question. My question was, if I were to agree with you that there must be some philosophical structure, in other words, if I agreed with you that the laws of logic needed an explanation, what is your justification for claiming that that explanation, that philosophical structure, is a being?
Okay, so maybe I should word it differently. Maybe I shouldn't say being. I don't know if I should continue calling it a being, because that would kind of throw off anyone who doesn't necessarily believe in a being.
Then let me ask you this. Given the normative usage of God, is God a being?
That's a good question. I can't really say for sure myself. Well, hold on. Can I say before, Matt?
Why would you call something God if what you really mean is there must be an explanation? There must be an explanation for the laws of logic, and I'm going to call that explanation God. But I'm not really sure that it's a being.
It's like God is a synonym for one's ignorance.
Yeah, that's a wholly dishonest argument to say there needs to be an explanation. I'm going to call that explanation God, but it might not be a being. How is this an argument for the existence of God, which is generally viewed as a being, as an agent, to say, it might not be an agent? Because I could say, I think there must be an explanation for this bottle of water, and I'm going to call it God, when really it's a frickin' factory, and a factory is not equivalent to God.
Well, I mean, to continue the argument, I think I have
Why?
to know, what do you? Hold on.
Okay.
I think to continue the argument, I have to know, from your knowledge of religion and everything like that, what do you take God, or what do you believe in, or what do you think God is, or what do you think we believe God is?
I'm sorry, Paul. I promise I'm still not trying to be a dick, but this further demonstrates your confusion. You called in to present an argument for the existence of God. You are the one who must then define God. It doesn't. If I was calling into a show to argue for position X, why would I let them define X and ask what their definition of X is?
What I really wanted to do by calling the show was just to talk about this. I didn't really want to debate, because I'm terrible at debating, as you can tell. Because I choke. Well, I just wanted to talk about it.
Okay. In that case, I'm probably just going to move on to other callers, because this is already a topic that some people find particularly dense. But my position is really simple. You and I agree on the laws of logic. I don't know of any way I don't know of any way to demonstrate that they need a foundation, or that a foundation has been found. I find no demonstration of that anywhere. And so the people who are arguing from the impossibility of the contrary haven't demonstrated either of those things, and certainly haven't demonstrated another worldview can't. But what they do keep doing, which you tried to do in one way or another a couple different times, is say, atheism can't answer this question, therefore atheism can't be true. Well, sorry, evolution can't tell you why the planets orbit a sun, but that's not what they're supposed to do. That's not what evolution is. So saying, your worldview, you keep looking at, not you specifically, but the people arguing this, would say, your worldview can't account for this and mine can. Great, please demonstrate that yours can, because I have yet to see any demonstration of that. And by the way, I'm not, you might talk about how you don't want to debate this because you're a terrible debater. You're just as good as Matt Slick or anybody else who's tried to present this stuff. There is this view that, oh my gosh, we need an answer. And the God thing that I keep hearing about seems to be an answer. But the one thing that people need to grasp is that we explain the unknown in terms of the known. And so you can't solve a mystery by appealing to a bigger mystery. Even if there was a perfect God who was absolutely certain and does in fact serve as the foundation for logic, how could that God ever serve as your foundation for logic. How could that God ever make you certain and confident? If you are a flawed individual who can make mistakes in thinking, how could you ever know that your reasoning to demonstrate a God is your foundation of reasoning isn't flawed? And I'd argue it's demonstrably flawed and circular.
So I have to prove God's existence to you in order for that actual argument to work?
If you could,
that would be a stepping stone.
That would certainly be a stepping stone, or you could actually demonstrate that a particular definition of God is in fact necessary. There's nothing wrong with arguing from the impossibility of the contrary. It's just that you have to demonstrate that the contrary is in fact impossible. And in this case, you also have to demonstrate why you think there needs to be or could be an explanation. That the fact that this is true is not in and of itself the end of it.
Okay. So before I hang up, I just want to say thanks a lot.
Sure.
This was very helpful. And I either will continue trying to add on to the argument or the other side. But thanks a lot. Have a good dinner.
Sure. Thanks. Whoops, I guess he was going to add one more thing after good. As a reminder, we are in fact going to dinner at Star of India. 3 words, right there on the screen, 2900 West Anderson Lane. The show's on till about 6 p.m. Central. If you are in the Austin area and are an atheist or atheist-friendly individual that would like to join us, it's an Indian buffet. We have fun.
So you compared him to Matt Slick, but Matt Slick can spew BS faster than this.
Sure. But Matt has a radio show and has been doing it for longer. By the way, Matt's going to be coming down to Austin. And is actually coming to my house where I will give him a bottle of the best tequila you can get.
Oh, my goodness.
And we will sit down on a couch and have conversations, not just a formal structured debate. We're going to talk and record it. Here's the thing. I don't have any animus towards Matt at all. Frustration on occasion, you bet. But I'm sure he's frustrated with me on occasion. I don't presume dishonesty or evil intention. And I also don't presume that it's a waste of time, because if either of us can find a way to expose that the other is being unreasonable, that's a win. Because the end of unreasonable arguing and conclusions for any position is a win.
Yeah.
If any caller on the show actually comes up with a valid and sound argument for the existence of God, I will accept it.
Yeah, if there's anything I've ever learned since I've been an atheist is it's okay to be wrong, and it's actually maybe a good thing because you can learn something.
Yeah.
So,
finding out you were wrong.
Not to be feared. Right.
Finding out you were wrong can be painful, especially as we are generally indoctrinated to don't be wrong, don't be wrong, don't be wrong, oh, you're so wrong. And then the name calling ensues. The good thing about finding out you were wrong is that you're not wrong anymore.
There you go.
I don't know why you wouldn't want that as a goal.